Welcome to Come to the Brink. I'm Zoe Flowers, and this is a space for those of us navigating profound life changes like loss, trauma, caregiving, and transformation. It's about what happens when everything you thought was solid crumbles beneath you and you're forced to rebuild. If you've ever felt like you're standing on the brink, this is the space for you. Welcome.
So we see that the skin can be lost through a devastating and wrong love. It may also be lost in a right and deepest love. It is not exactly the rightness of a person or thing or its wrongness that causes the theft of our soul skin. It is the cost of these things to us. It is what it costs us in time, energy, observation, attention, hovering, prompting, instructing, teaching, and training. These motions of psyche are like cash withdrawals from the psychic savings account. The issue is not about these energetic cash withdrawals themselves, for these are an important part of life's give and take. But it is being overdrawn that causes the loss of the skin and the paling and dulling of one's most acute instincts. It is lack of further deposits of energy, knowledge, acknowledgement, ideas, and excitement that causes a woman to feel she is psychically dying. And today's reading is from an oldie but goodie, Women Who Run with the Wolves, written by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, PhD. So welcome back to the Brink. Welcome to Come to the Brink. I am Zoe Flowers, and this is the space where we talk about the moments that shake us, the losses that reshape us, and the wisdom that we gather along the way. So I'm so excited for today's episode because it's all about transformation. And I actually have, we're not on video, but you can see this special guest.
Yep.
It's actually the 10 of Cups. And in this particular deck, it is a butterfly. So my goodness, transformation, transformación.
Yes.
The kind that comes from grief.
Yeah.
The transformation that comes from endings and from reconnecting with something greater than ourselves. And I can't think of a better person to explore this with than you, GDC.
Granddaughter Crow here for yet another beautiful connection
Yes.
with Zoe.
Yes. So we have been guests on each other's podcasts. We have done poetry slams together. So here's to just like another amazing conversation to bring to the people. So I don't know, for the 2 or 3 people of you out there that don't know who Granddaughter Crow is, she's a medicine woman, a public speaker, an intuitive reader, an author of Wisdom of the Natural World, and several other books. She is a descendant of a long line of spiritual leaders and a member of the Navajo Nation. Granddaughter Crow brings ancestral knowledge, deep spiritual insight, and a lifetime of experience to her work. So today, we're going to talk about a multitude of things because she already said she has things that she's going to throw down. So I'm ready to pick it up.
Yay!
Right? But the theme is talking about what nature, ancestry, and spirit can teach us about navigating life's most difficult transitions. Because as you know, on Come to the Brink, we don't just leave you at the brink, honey. We talk about the transitions, how we get through it. So whether you're grieving, searching for clarity, or stepping into a new phase of life, this conversation is for you. So, without further ado, Granddaughter Crow,
Oh, Ya'at-e. Hello in Navajo. So they call me Granddaughter Crow. I am born to the Billagana clan for the Ta'achini clan, a member of the Navajo Nation, as well as Dutch heritage. And I want to talk a little bit about that. I will tell you, Billagana, Bilasana, Bethlakan. That is Navajo. It means white man likes apples. And we will go there. Billagana, Bilasana, Bethlakan. White man likes apples. Red on the outside, white on the inside, the skin of the apple. And I have been an apple for a very long time. And I am no longer red on the outside and white on the inside. I am me in all of my beauty. Today, we are going to talk about my journey into my soul, my psyche, and being born from two races that hurt each other. My Dutch heritage came over from the Netherlands. I have them traced back. Van Meersbergen, Van Wyck, traveled over here, wooden shoes, hit the island, came through Greeley, Colorado, down through Denver, which I now live, and then out to New Mexico, which is where my father was born, setting up a boarding school and a residential school, my friend, for the red body. In 1932, my father was born and placed in that white Dutch Calvinism, Christianized, Christian reform prison. And in that, his hair was cut, his language was taken, but his soul remained. And his soul is something that I need to come to terms with now that I'm in my 50s as his daughter, to remember the red within me. What you got to say about that, Zoe? We're going to go there, and I'm going to tell you guys how that happened. But that's heavy. That's heavy.
So, thinking about this conversation centering on grief, let's dig into that a little bit.
Yeah. So I'll just do it. I'll take Zoe as my model. I listened to her story, and I'll give you a similar story in a similar style. Last year in 2024, I was writing a book, and that book is not one that is published yet. It should be out in 2026. And it's about our internal narrative, the narrative that we tell ourselves that we've picked up along the way, maybe when we were children or whatever it is, that narrative that says, I always win, I always lose, I'm really good at this, I suck at that, whatever that narrative is. How to find that narrative and discover that narrative and examine it and potentially change it if it's not aligned with your authentic, conscious path forward in your soul. And so this book comes back to me from the editor and says, this is so much wonderful information, right? Your academic, scholarly side is showing through. However, we don't care about your academic, scholarly side as much as we want to get to know who are you and what gave you the right to write this book. Who is Granddaughter Crow at her soul level? Now, I am doing a little drama there. She didn't exactly say it like that, but that's what I heard, right?
Okay.
So I sat with that And I realized, Zoe, I realized that I have been struggling my whole life with the terms of half-breed, not full blood. You know, my Navajo cousins would call me the little white girl. My Dutch cousins would call me the little Indian, which is not nice, especially with our consciousness now, and we can go into that later. That I worked my whole life. Like I said, I'm in my 50s. I worked my whole life to figure out, who am I? I'm both. I'm more than enough. All of these things. But when I was asked to write a story in the way that it was going to hit my internal narrative, like you do on this show, something that breaks your inner foundation, right? I had to write. I didn't have to. I chose to take that mission. And I wrote about what it's like to be raised in a household with a Dutch body and a Navajo body, knowing history, knowing that it literally was her ancestors that took my dad's Navajo-ness away. And how much I love my mother, how she was my first mentor. And the battle, I had to dig deep to my soul, to my psyche. I had to think about what it was like to be a little girl. And my mother would tell my dad when it's okay to speak. But yet she was so afraid of him, right? Because dinner's got to be on the table, because I'm a good Christian woman at 5 o'clock, not 5:01, not 4:59. Anyway, it came up so much that I remembered Bilagana, Bilasana, Bethlakan. White man likes apples. They eat them up, people. This consciousness. Now, if you've got a white body and you're sitting here, I ain't shaming you. Let's just honorably walk into my ancestral home. Don't touch anything until I'm done, because I love you. But Bilagana, Bilasana, Bethlakan, they made my dad into an apple. They whitewashed his soul. And when I was 35, about 2 decades ago, I came back to the ministry of, being a spiritual leader and what that looked like for me. And it was more on this indigenous side, more traditional Navajo, all of this. But I couldn't find a teacher except for Google and my own psyche, my own DNA, my own blood. What felt correct to my redness, my Navajo body? What felt correct to these Navajo eyes that are so dark that you can't even see my pupils? What felt correct to my high cheekbones, to my beautiful nose, to my skin that can tan so quickly? Those are the elements that I had to listen to. And then after I got into really writing this 24-page document around what it was like to go through an experience of potentially being whitewashed myself and coming out on the other side saying, not only am I Navajo, I am Navajo enough. I am Navajo. And it felt like a coming home, and it stripped my soul and my psyche to its core. So now let's get back to what you're reading. The skin, right?
Mm-hmm. Isn't that funny that was the...
You know what? That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I'm almost glad that we're not doing visual, because you guys would be seeing Granddaughter Crow boo-hoo like a little girl right now. Tissue.
Yeah. I know. I've shed some tears on this podcast too, right?
Absolutely. And so what happened was it took me about a month of just reflection and deep soul digging that I had never, well, maybe I've done it before, but it never went this deep. The anger that I felt, the persecution that I felt, the blame that I felt towards my mother's white body and her heritage, and knowing that that was in me.
Because you hadn't experienced that before?
Well, I had, but it's an onion, right? It's an onion. So I have my whole life peeled this freaking onion. I have peeled it my whole life. When I was persecuted for being a red body, when I looked different, when I was treated like savage, when I was treated as stupid, when I was treated as inarticulate, when I was treated as not understanding the white man way, academically or whatever. That didn't happen in college, but that certainly happened in high school. And all of that. So yeah, I've been doing this work for so long, but I allowed myself, or maybe it was time, or maybe it was the ancestors. You know, when we get to the brink, we don't know exactly what led us there, but something did, and we were a part of that something too. And so I wrote and I purged deeply. I think it was deep anger and towards even self that I have those two bloodlines within me, and I can't trade one for the other. You know, this is just me. This is the side of me that knows how to think Dutch Christian reform, knows what that looks like, and the side of me that knows how to sense and feel my Navajo-ness. And I didn't have to make a choice. And I'm not saying that I did, but all I know is that it scraped me so raw to confront and finally figure out, oh, I know who I am. But before that part happened, I submitted that rewrite of additional 24 pages. I think single spaced. So it's going to be a lot more. It's a chapter in and of itself. Okay. I'll get back up on the show and let you guys know where to get your copy next year, right? But so I submitted it on September 30th, 2024. On October 3rd, a few days later, I had such pain in my forehead above my right eye. It felt like lightning. So it was nerve pain, and it hurt. And a few days after that, I had these blisters. The blisters went down, and I diagnosed myself before I went into urgent care, and I was like, I have shingles. I know I do. And it went down over my eyelid. My whole eye was swollen shut. I couldn't see. And just think of the metaphor of being able in my body to only look through one eye. And so then what ended up happening was I got the shingles on my eye. So I went to the ophthalmologist. 3 months later, I mean, I guess a month later, you could barely see it. But this was October, November, December, January, February, March, April, 6 months ago. You know, in the middle of the night, that nerve pain still reminds me that I'm alive. That pain reminds me that it didn't sever my nerves. My nerves are still active. But it was the most excruciating pain, and I have met my death a few times and come back. I have had tremendous pain in my life. But this was a pain that I had never felt before. It was like electric shock therapy. It was the kind of pain that I would be asleep in the middle of the night because I finally fell asleep, and I'd wake up at 2 a.m. because I'm screaming and wandering around my house because my body just couldn't do it. And so finally there came a point that, you know, the ophthalmologist was just like, I'm like, I am in so much pain. And they're like, we can't give you meds anymore for this. You have to get a, you know, general practitioner and you got to go. And I was like, yeah, if I start at the beginning, they're just going to think I'm pain-seeking behavior. And the woman said, if they think that shingles is pain-seeking behavior, then they are not the right doctor for you, because in medical school, I learned that shingles was the number 2 reason why an elderly person would commit suicide. It is that intense. It was like I wanted to throw my head through a brick wall for relief. It was that intense.
Wow.
And so I was sitting there at the table, the dining room table, and I couldn't do it anymore. My husband's sitting right next to me, or on the side, and I looked up and I said, help me. And within seconds, this cool anointing came over from the top of my head, and it flushed over my whole existence, and my whole nervous system relaxed. And my husband looked at me and said, your ancestors just came in. What happened? And he said, did they see your tear? And they said, not from this body ever again will we let tears of this much fall. Your ancestors heard you. It's good to say that I haven't had, that pain was off the charts, and I have not experienced it since then. And that was probably in November of last year, 2024, right before we did the poetry slam that talked about social justice, and where I sat up and I said, I am the living existence. If the US government wants to erase a culture of people, that I still stand. I am here living. And the reason why I could do that is because of the work that I just did, and because it stripped my skin, my soul, my psyche to the brink of my own personal death of understanding. It changed my psyche. It changed the way that I thought. It rewired my system. And I could go into scientific reasons explaining why, but I don't want to do that, because then I'll stop crying, and then what fun is that?
Oh my God. I was going to say go into the science, but okay, you don't have to.
But nevertheless, because I could only see, a little bit of science, because I could only see out of one eye. You don't see with your eyes, you see with your brain. And when you limit being able to see out of one eye for an extended amount of time, your brain needs to understand what's going on in the world. So it starts filling in and causing you to think a little bit differently. It is the same. Yeah, it's the same with hearing. So anyway, it was changing the way I was thinking. I couldn't, obviously, I wear contacts, and where, like, if I don't wear contacts, I cannot see at all. I see fuzzy, blurry stuff.
Same.
And so without my contact being in, I couldn't see anything with one eye.
Yeah.
And I'm in the middle of producing or releasing the final chapter of the book that just came out, Shadows and Your Shamanism in Your Shadow. And I'm like, I think I am changing. I am definitely transforming. I am raw. I don't know who I am. And over the last few months, I am so much more settled into who I am. I am now different. It's not because I am a completely different person on my core. It's just that now, people, you're going to get the unabridged version of Granddaughter Crow's soul moving forward. That's how I changed.
It's like going back to the book, right? Again, about this skin, how she talks about this skin and this stripping. And as you were talking, I was seeing you actually going through this tunnel, not being able to use that sight. And it reminds me of sort of the biblical walk by faith and not by sight. You
Yeah.
literally had to like go through this literal tunnel
Yeah.
of your own choosing,
Yes, that's right. That is exactly right.
your own making, your own initiation, actually.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it's an initiation, Zoe. You could listen to this and my words, and you can think of it on my own initiation with regards to my ancestral link.
Well, that's the thing, right? Yeah, because it's like, what don't we want to see? It's like you dug up all of these things, and it's almost like, no, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. Oh, guess what? Shingles over the eye. Now I don't.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting too, because I know I have a Navajo thumb and a Dutch thumb. And I know that sounds weird, but if you look at my right hand, my thumb is just a regular white body thumb. If you look at my left thumb, it is a Navajo thumb. It is shorter. It is squared off.
Yeah.
It is a lot different.
I see.
And I've known that since I was little. When you're a kid, you always bring something to show and tell. Well, this was one of my show and tells, right? It's very, very different. It's very, very different. Yeah. And so the fact that this showed up on my right side, on my Dutch side, but not on my Navajo side, I thought was very apropos.
Well, and isn't the right side where we receive and the left side is where we give?
Yeah, that too.
So what do you think about that? Or do you think anything about that?
Yeah, now that you pose that question and I think about it, I think that I need to be more mindful of what I am receiving.
From that side.
From all sides. And I am giving this as a public service announcement to all of your listeners. Be mindful of what you are feeding your psyche. Be mindful of, be aware. Yes, people, be aware. But be mindful. Are you eating enough good food, right? Let's go back to what you read. Are you feeding I wasn't feeding my Navajo self enough. It was starving. Just like what you read at the beginning of this show. It was starving. My psyche is starving. And let me just tell you, because I got to tell you the miracles as I'm telling you the pain. The other night, I was woken up by a voice from what I am going to now, and this is all new. I've never told people, and this is the first time I've publicly talked about the shingles thing or any of this. Mm-hmm. It is, and this is the show to do it on. I was woke up by what I would call the grandmothers. They're indigenous, but not necessarily all Navajo. Mm-hmm. They are the sacred female elders on the other side that have walked the path of the indigenous. Mm-hmm. And so, you know what they said to me, Zoe? They said, and you may, or I would love your take on this. They said, oh, the time for lighting the candle and the flame within others is gone, for the flame has already been lit to those who have the flame. Now it's your turn to kindle that flame, to listen to their flame, to help them be. Your job is not supposed to be basically to walk around inspiring people, but to find those who have that authentic inspiration within themselves and observe it, pay attention to it, give it energy, be there to hear that. And now, so it's like, oh, I've been on stage this whole time with this little lighter in my hand saying, if you have a candle, I'll help you light your inner light. And now they're like, okay, that's done, granddaughter. Now you know what you got to do. You got to be quiet. Actually, they didn't really say be quiet. They just said, it's time for you to listen. It's time for you to listen. So now I'm listening a lot more. And it's really cool. Even though I'm sitting here like talking on this show.
Yeah.
Right. Talking about how much more I'm listening. Right.
Yeah, right. No, I love it. And I just want to show you something from I had a reading that I did just before this call. And look what came up for the person.
Candle. The light. So she's holding up a candle that is lit. And that is exactly what they told me. They said the candle is already lit in these people.
Yeah. Pink. It's a pink background with a black candle. And it is lit. And it's the card. And it doesn't even matter what the words are on the card. But I will say that it's card number 35. So that would be 8 in numerology.
Yeah.
Part of extremes.
Yeah.
And sometimes grief can take us down these extremes in order to light our own candle, to light our own light.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I agree with the grandmothers and what they said.
Okay, good.
I mean, not that they need me to agree, but I'm on the same. I'm on that same vibe of nourishing myself and sort of letting the light be the example, and not feeling like I always have to be the teacher.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And here I am on the podcast, right? Low key teaching, but just like in a different way.
Yeah,
Not
absolutely.
like, oh, you need to pay attention. Oh, you need to, I always felt like you need to, da, da, da. But now I'm just in a very different space. And maybe it's our ages, because we're close in age, probably if not the same age.
Yep.
And the times, the paradigm shifts that have happened, the paradigm shifts that are happening.
Big time.
It's probably time for us to stand in circle with light-spirited people and just continue to light our own flames. Because again, as Clarissa said, it's not the rightness or the wrongness of people. It is about the energetic withdrawals that we experience. Constantly teaching and giving and doing all of those things that she talked about. And I think that, and I'd love to hear what you have to say about the grief of putting that down.
Whew.
Like, what does it mean for Granddaughter Crow?
Yeah.
To just be like, okay, I'm just going to listen. Like, is there a grief is there a part of you, a role that you fulfilled that you've had to put down in this journey?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say, I think maybe you mentioned this before, that before the death comes the grief sometimes. So I think I was grieving maybe for a long time around this. But, and then I think I kind of like, if you look at Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and the stages of grief, if you like look at that, I subscribe to that model. I'm not saying it's a scientific, it's personalized, but I subscribe to that model. There was an anger that came up in me, absolutely, around getting tired of telling people to plant these seeds in their garden so that they can grow into their own authenticity, like feeling like I have to go and tie people's shoes and that they're only coming to me to be reminded, but they're not utilizing these practices in their own home and their own life. That I got a little upset with that. I mean, that is something that I probably shouldn't necessarily say, because maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot, but there was a part of me that was angry that, I mean, yeah, it's how I make my living, but that's not the point. The point is that I am here to to inspire your candle to keep going. What does your candle want to do? What does it want to say? So there was some grief around that, but it was more like me getting tired of having to talk, and knowing that they would leave Sunday school and forget about it for the rest of the week. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
So, yeah. And so basically what's happening now is even within the reads and the one-on-one sessions, I am listening so much more, and it is a part of my character that I forgot within my soul, and I love it. I get to learn from people. I get to listen. I don't have to think about what I'm going to say. I am just like, oh, tell me more about you, about your journey. And that kind of started with my podcast and everything, but now it feels like I'm off the hook a little bit. You know, I've kind of like in the final readings that I've been doing, I'm like, I don't have to know why you want me here or what you want me to say. I'll straight up ask you, if I have a looking ball, what is your question? What do you want an answer to? Ask the question. It actually hones the practitioner, and it gives empowerment to the practitioner. So in a very interesting way, if I did grieve it or get angry, that's already happened. Right now, I'm just like, woo, I don't have to talk so much. This is cool.
Yeah, I love it. So one of the things that came to me, I don't know, a while ago, actually, when I do my readings, is what's the question behind the question?
Yes. What's the question behind the question?
What's the question behind the question? Because people will be asked a question and I'll feel like, that's not really the question. You scared to really say what the real question is because you feel embarrassed or whatever. So I'll just be like, what's the question behind the question? What do you really want to know? And that helps us go deeper and get deeper into what's real.
I absolutely love that. And I love that you do that. I might actually start doing that if I can have your permission to do that.
Come up with it. That's them or whoever, you know. So yeah.
I love it. But another beauty around this is that it did happen to my soul at the proper time of entering the United States 2025 USA. And having to be a red body and what to say as a representative of the red body female, you know, in my 50s. And so it gave me that strength. So it's almost like Spirit knew that it was time, that something was coming, and that I needed to quickly get up to speed. And another beautiful thing is that it came out right, you know, February 2025, Shamanism in Your Shadow was released by Granddaughter Crow, how to do shadow work, utilizing that more Native American shamanism. And now I'm prepared to actually, not a part of me, not a part of my psyche, not a part of my soul, not because I'm half, but in totality, my wholeness is able to step forward as shaman, as Granddaughter Crow, as a medicine woman, as a member of the Navajo Nation.
So I want to delve into that a little bit more about connection. One of the things that my other guests talked about, and you've kind of talked about it too, is how African American people's traditions, particularly around death, dying, grieving, have been stripped.
Yeah.
And how different cultures honor the dead, that the grief period could be 30 days. Other cultures, it could be longer than that. And so a lot of the traditions have been gone, and a lot of folks in the West have lost their connection. So thinking about your book, the shadow book, the shadow work that we were talking about last year, how do you think people can begin to reconnect with that shadow self and with ancestors, even if they feel disconnected from their lineage?
Even if they don't even know what their actual lineage is, absolutely. It's very interesting. I do want to refer you to an article that was just dropped today by Llewellyn and written by myself. written by Granddaughter Crow. Of course, I wrote it myself, but, written by Granddaughter Crow. And it does talk about the benefits of doing shadow work. And one of those benefits is the ability to tap into those aspects of yourself that were hidden, or maybe society hid away from you, or society told you was not good enough to include those things. So, for example, let's say that you're born left-handed and you are an artist left-handed, but you go to a school that tells you or believes that being left-handed is wrong. And yes, this is an actual thing for the younger generation. It used to be a thing where you'd get slapped for writing with your left hand. You are all forced to write with your right hand. And so in such, let's say that you do some shadow work, and that aspect of hidden, where you're like, oh no, I'm not allowed to show anybody that I write with my left hand. I need to go through the shame of that, the guilt of being, whatever it is, and hiding that. And then you come to terms with being a left-handed, which is authentic and organic to your soul, to your body, to your psyche. And then all of a sudden, you're not only writing with your left hand, but you're painting these marvelous paintings of a gift that was hidden because it wasn't culturally viewed as appropriate during certain societal times.
Mm-hmm.
So just input whatever grieving processes your ancestors knew that have been hidden in the shadow. Live within your body, live within your soul. You can do shadow work to get there, or you can light that candle, be quiet, and grieve the way that you know how to grieve. And maybe that's eating a lot of food. Maybe it's fasting. Maybe it's cutting your hair. Maybe it's laughing. Maybe it's having a certain ceremony. Maybe it's going to the river.
Mm.
It's in your DNA. Let it out.
Mm. So I want to go back to, you're talking about the river. I want to go back to your connection to nature and all of that. And I wonder if you have ideas about how people can work with nature specifically to move through grief and transformation.
Absolutely. I might just bring out that we're recording this February 2025, and March 2025. I'm a month.
Don't take us back in time, sister.
It's Mercury retrograde. I couldn't help myself.
March 2025. Yes.
March 2025, and in doing what I do, and I do this professionally all the time. This is my full-time job, and is being here for the people as a spiritual person to assist the community in whatever way I can. And so there have been a lot of what we'll call transitions, deaths, that have come straight to my door, not metaphorically, and I am helping families move and find buoyancy within the waves of grief. Okay. Find buoyancy within the waves of grief. So in order to do that, of course, the first thing I want to say is I honor you, listener, wherever you're at, sacred space, sacred time, any type of grief, death, transformation of whatever it is that may have come up in you. I honor you. I honor that sacred space. Now, in order to do that, I'm not saying to relieve yourself of your own things. I'm saying let's add a little bit more support to your system. Understand the wisdom of the natural world, that all things are born, live, and die. But that doesn't mean they're gone. They transformed. It's understand that this is a process of life. This isn't God's punishment to you. Somebody didn't do something wrong. Quit trying to look for man-made exceptions so that we can keep people here beyond their season. That's almost disrespectful. I'm sorry, and I don't know why I'm saying this, but I know that there's a lot of times that we need to show more mercy and disconnect some people because their spirits want to go, but we're sitting here going, I don't want you to go yet. You need to do your own work because the grieving is not for the soul. The grieving is for those who are left behind. And so that's the wisdom of the natural world. And let it go because they're not gone. They live within you. They live within your memory. Whatever spiritual awareness you have, they are in a different consciousness, and you will get there too. How hard would it be for me to not be able to articulate, let me go? And everybody's like, but it's Granddaughter Crow. She's a holy woman. Let's keep her here. I'd be like, no, I want my life to not be about my death. I want my life to be about what I'm saying right now. And I guess Zoe, when I said you will hear the unabridged version of Granddaughter Crow's soul, that probably was a legal thing, so that you could hear what I just said, because that was unabridged Granddaughter Crow.
Well, spirit is in control, because in the previous episode, callers, you will hear Akinke Lewis said the exact same thing.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. People, by the time yours comes out, they will have heard Akinke Lewis, who said the exact same thing. She relayed a story of her grandfather looking at his wife and saying, I want to go home.
Yeah.
And she said, well, go on and go to bed then. She didn't know that he was on the brink of going to his next version. And he transitioned like 40 minutes later, and then Akinke was in the hospital room with her mother, and she said she saw her father walk in the room, in the hospital room, and stand there, and her mom looked up, and her mom said, I want to go home.
Yeah.
And we talked about this in a previous episode, and I had shared that somebody had said, as my mom was transitioning, well, you just need to give her permission to go. You just need to. And I didn't want to do it. I wasn't ready.
Sure.
Like for 2 weeks, I was like, I'm not doing that. And so I'm like calling around for death doulas, trying to find a death doula. Low key, I'm the death doula. Like,
right.
I'm the death doula, and the unintentional death doula. And but on the day that she actually did transition, I had told her, I'm going to be fine. Taking care of you is the honor of my life, and gave her a kiss on the forehead. And she transitioned like 15 minutes later, right in front of me. She took like 6 breaths, and that was it.
Wow.
And when I had gotten off the elevator, and again, y'all, this will be a repeat if you listen to Kinke's episode. When I got off the elevator coming into the hospice place, they said, she's here. And I thought that was so weird because I was there every single day.
Mm-hmm.
But after she passed, the nurse that was in charge of the floor and everything, she said, yeah, we were waiting for you because we didn't think she'd make it through the weekend. Like, we were surprised that she was making it through the weekend. But again, I was there every day. But when I arrived that day, they were like, she's here. So they knew, the nurses, they'd come up to me and they said, we knew that she was going to go, like probably that day.
Yeah.
And so there's just, there's a wisdom that we don't understand. And I think
that's right.
Because of our disconnection from nature. I think it's because of the imprisonment of our people and the stripping of our traditions and the stripping, but it's not really stripped. They tried to strip it, but it still lives within us. We still got it.
That's right.
We just have to light the candles. But the wisdom is when you were talking about like let things go, the tree doesn't beg the leaves not to fall.
That's exactly right, Zoe. That's exactly right.
The rose doesn't hold on to the petals for dear life out of fear.
Yep. Yep.
Because there's a wisdom that nothing truly ends.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so a lot of this wisdom is stored within our greatest teacher, as I see the greatest teacher to be, is the wisdom of the natural world. And the second greatest teacher that you will ever encounter in your life is your own soul, because that's where this wisdom will solidify. So I ain't sitting here telling you anything that you don't know. I'm reminding you of what you do if you heard anything at all. Zoe and I are reminding you of what you already know. That's how I see it.
I totally agree. And I had these two last questions, and one was about rituals, if people feel lost. But I wonder if, well, what do you have to say about that? Like rituals, if people are feeling lost and sort of unmoored right now, what would you suggest? I feel like we've given so many clues.
But no, it's very simple, people. Yeah. We are going through chaos. So, of course, we're going to be wobbly and catch sensations of lost, a feeling of lost. Do you know what you can do when you feel lost? Light a candle and shut up. Then listen, and then shut up some more. Until you feel yourself back in your own body with your own truth, understanding that all of the noise that you have been feeling and is outside of you, and that you are the gatekeeper that is allowing it to come into you, which is fine. And then if you do that as a practice, it will happen. It won't take 45 minutes to learn how to be quiet anymore. You'll be able to instantaneously find peace within because you're quiet and you know how to block out the noise. And then you can filter in the noise as it does fit. So, yeah, I'm kind of turning into a little sassy.
I love it. I'm like, this sass, this is so new. I'm like, yes, bring it. But I love that. So as we come to a close, I just feel like you led us perfectly in to an exercise that I want to do for folks. So who may feel ungrounded. So don't do it in the car. If you're driving, please stop. Pull over if you want to do it, but just keep driving if you're driving. But if you're at home, just go ahead and let yourself sink into the chair. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Let those feet be firmly planted on the ground. As we say in yoga, center the four corners of the feet on the ground. So the big toe, the pinky, and both sides of the heels, let them connect to the floor. Let your shoulders drop. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. And we're going to just go with that tree analogy. Just see, sense, or imagine maybe some roots or some branches coming from the soles of your feet, going down into Mother Earth, connecting you, rooting you in, grounding you in. Taking a deep breath in and out. And maybe seeing, sensing, or imagining any heavy energies being like those leaves, and just let them go, let them fall away. The tree does not mourn the leaves as they fall. So just let those feelings fall around you like leaves. Feel that steady support beneath you. The earth is holding you. You're not alone. Take a deep breath in. Exhale out. With every breath, imagine strength rising up through your roots, filling you with stability and resilience, the energy of Mother Earth, the vitality of Mother Earth coming up through the feet, traveling up to the knees, the belly, the top of the head. You are not alone. We are with you. Taking a deep breath in, exhaling out. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Granddaughter Crow, this was so good. It was so lit. It was so sassy and spicy. I love it. Thank you for your wisdom, your presence, for sharing your journey. And what do you want the people to know? How can they find your books? How can they find you? How can they support your work?
Absolutely. So just remember Granddaughter Crow. Google Granddaughter Crow, www.granddaughtercrow, social media at Granddaughter Crow, blah, 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 blah. That's all you got to remember, right? And you can find on my website what I do and everything. But what I would like to say to you, listener, right now, if you are listening to this, there is a reason. And it's okay if it stirred up anger or confusion or whatever it stirred up within you. Go ahead and digest and feel all those things and listen to it again. Listen to it again, because it's okay to be wherever you are. That is sacred. And when you feel like you can't be wherever you are because you are being too angry right now or whatever, then you are lost. So be where you are. Be where you are. Be where you are. Your anger is sacred. Your grief is sacred. This whole thing is sacred. The loss is sacred. So experience that sacredness. And thank you for coming to the Brink with Granddaughter Crow.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much. So next time on our show, we're going to be talking about something that many of us struggle with. And that's when to walk away. How do you know when a relationship, a job, a family bond is no longer serving you? How do you cut ties in ways that honor your growth and protect your energy? We're diving in just like we dove in with Granddaughter Crow today and all of her wisdom. Again, thank you so much. And the next time we're going to be diving into the signs, we're going to be diving into the challenges and the liberation that comes with choosing yourself. So you're not going to want to miss this one. And I definitely want to hear from you. If you've had to walk away from something or somebody for the sake of your well-being, what was that experience like for you? Send me a message or leave a comment. I'd love to share some of your stories in the next episode. So make sure you're subscribed. You know, we're available on all platforms. And if today's conversation resonated with you in any way, share it with somebody who needs to hear it. And until next time, please remember, no one should be on the brink alone. I'm Zoe Flowers, and I'll see you soon. Bye.